Hey everyone, welcome to Massachusetts Sports Central. This is our NFL Power Rankings after the division round of the playoffs. Just to keep in mind to everyone what these power rankings are, this list represents how likely we think that each team will win Super Bowl 52. As we continue in the playoffs, we will only be ranking the newly eliminated and remaining teams the rest of the postseason. It also should go without saying that the remaining teams will be the top ones, even if you can argue that some of the eliminated teams are better than them. Okay, on to the rankings. So, number 8, not moving, is the Tennessee Titans. So, I thought they were the worst team remaining in the playoffs, and they lost, and they were the only team that lost really badly, so not too surprising that they're there. Patriots were easily able to shut down Henry, were able to move up and down the field without much difficulty on the defense. Mariota wasn't able to get anything going. He was actually sacked 8 times, which was Patriots' team record, at least for the playoffs. So, they had a pretty good. I mean, I guess they had some decent expectations. But they more or less met those expectations, making the playoffs, actually winning a game there. So, overall, decent season for the team, but they were clearly the worst team to get to the division round, if not the worst team in the playoffs to begin with. All right, number 7, moving down one slot, is the Atlanta Falcons. The number 6 seed pulled off the upset in the wild card round, but were not able to do it in the division round. Honestly, I don't know why everybody was making. I don't know why they were a favorite, and I don't know why so many people seemed like it was just damn near impossible for the Eagles to be able to beat them. Eagles have a very good defense. Eagles have a strong running game. Eagles had home field advantage, and the weather wasn't actually all that bad. But a warm weather dome team traveling up north in January has never been a good formula. Really good teams can make it happen. But the Falcons had enough flaws that I'm not surprised it would be a decent game, and I wouldn't have been shocked if the Falcons won. I don't understand why people are making it like it was a foregone conclusion. So anyway, in the end, I would say that they avoided the Super Bowl hangover better than a lot of teams have over the past decade, 15, 20 years or so. They did actually make the playoffs. They did win a game. In reality, even though they were the 6 seed versus the 2 seed last year, they only won one less game. It was a decent run for them, and I do think that they have a lot of talent. Will probably be back fairly strong next year. Okay, number 6, falling down 3 slots. The big upset of the week was the Pittsburgh Steelers losing to the Jaguars. So Steelers, obviously, everybody saw the kind of looking ahead, being cocky, not taking the Jaguars seriously stuff. Talking a lot about meeting the Patriots and what they were going to do to the Patriots, and not really talking that much about the Jaguars. Clearly came back to bit them in the butt. The scary thing is how many points they gave up to the Jaguars offense. They actually did quite well on their own offense, scoring 42 points. How often are they going to score 42 and lose? That's pretty surprising. And who thought they would be in a shootout with the Jaguars? So, I had them falling basically because I thought the Jags were probably the other. Titans were clearly the weakest team. You could debate after that. I actually thought the Jags were the next worst team. Maybe you could have said the Falcons if you didn't have your Nick Foles tainted glasses on, thinking that they were absolutely were going to beat the Eagles. Yeah. So the Steelers are probably the most disappointing of all the playoff teams. Even when you look at some of the first round upsets. Obviously still a very talented team, a lot of turmoil and chaos in the locker room. So hopefully for their sake, they can kind of clean some of that up and maybe be able to fulfill their potential instead of falling short and underperforming most years. All right, number 5, moving down one slot, the New Orleans Saints. This would be one of those situations where I think they're actually better than at least one of the teams ahead of them here, but they are eliminated. They did only fall one slot because I only had them as the number 4 team last week, since I did think the Steelers were probably a little bit better. But given the Steelers' performance versus their performance, where they were down big to the Vikings and then battled their way back, actually took the lead and only lost on like one of the craziest endings you're ever going to see in a football game. The defense was still pretty good. The running attack is solid and could be for years to come. Drew Brees is a free agent, but it doesn't really look like he's going to be going anywhere. So they should be. I could see them being a pretty good team again next year. You never know. The teams rise and fall a lot pretty quickly in this league. So they could go back to being a 7-9 team next year. Who knows? But I think that if they get Brees to re-sign and they have another decent draft, they could be a pretty good team for a couple more years. All right, number 4, moving up 3 slots because they won, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags have a very good defense. And then obviously this past week, the offense was able to get it done. Defense obviously was not playing their best, giving up 42 points. But, they did get 2 turnovers. They scored on defense, and they got another the pick that they had on Roethlisberger set up. I believe they scored on the very next play. So, the defense still had their moments even when they hemorrhaged a ton of points in that game. I don't think they're good as New England. I'm going to be picking New England over them. The defense certainly could stifle things. I don't think the offense had the game of their lives. I do not think that's going to happen against New England. Even if the running game, they're able to just pound and pound and pound the running game. They are not going to do what they did against Pittsburgh, even if they end up with 200 plus yards rushing, which is probably the formula they need to win that game against New England. But I don't think that will happen. And like I said, even if they do, they're not putting up a 40 burger. That might just be a situation where they're able to win 24-20 or something like that. All right, number 3, moving up 2 slots, the Philadelphia Eagles. So number 1 seed in the NFC, and they're going to be hosting the NFC Championship game. They have a similar advantage that they did over the Saints over the Falcons, in that they are going to be hosting a dome team. Now the Vikings are a little weird there because they did play outside for a while, and they are in Minneapolis, so they can practice in more inclement conditions than say the Falcons. I mean, the problem with the Falcons is even if they wanted to prepare, they couldn't do that at home because they go outside and they're still in Atlanta. But the Vikings, if they go outside, they're in Minneapolis. So an outdoor training facility or going to a college campus or something like that, they can definitely prepare for the elements better than a lot of dome teams can. Anyway, so the Eagles do have a very good defense, and they do have the running game, and I think Foles is catching more crap than he really deserves. He's not great. Nobody thinks he's great. Nobody thinks he's Wentz for sure. But he's capable. So pretty much if he screws up, if he throws 2 picks or loses a fumble or something like that, or he throws a pick and loses a fumble, something like that, they'll be in trouble because it's not the offense is no longer dynamic enough to be able to make up for it. So if they fall behind the way the Saints did to the Vikings, they'll have a hard time coming back because the offense just isn't dynamic enough to be able to put up a lot of points quickly like the Saints did. At the same time, they could very easily go up the same way if they can force some turnovers from the Vikings offense. Now, the Vikings offense is solid, and they have what you expect them to have. You can think whatever you want about Keenum, but he's been there all year, and you know what you're getting, and he's been playing pretty well. Maybe this is the game that he turns back into a pumpkin, maybe not, but he certainly has been playing well, and there's no reason to think that he won't be able to do it. So the Vikings are still at number 2. So NFC Championship game is your 3-2 matchup I got in these power rankings. Like I said, the Vikings have been holding steady at this number 2 slot for a while. They have that great defense, and unlike the Jaguars, they have not really had any big slips recently. Like the Jags, not only in that playoff game, but the second to last game, I believe it was, they led, I believe, over 40 points against the 49ers as well. So they've shown some recent chinks where the Vikings, yes, they let the Saints come back, but they still didn't give up that many points. They were still only in the low 20s. And that was to like one of the best offenses in the league and one of the best QBs in history with Drew Brees. So it's hard to really like ding them nearly as much. All right, so moving on to number one, staying put once again, the New England Patriots. Um, so I think that they have a big advantage over the Jaguars. The Patriots D is good enough to hold down the Jaguars offense. They're better than the Steelers right now. The Patriots defense is definitely better than the Steelers defense at this moment. So they have a better shot at being able to hold down the Jags. Their offense is at least as good as the Steelers. Um, and they have, the coaching is just better. Tomlin's gonna catch a lot of crap, and a lot of it is deserved for some of the decisions he made, and like being more of a rah-rah than X's and O's type guy. Where obviously Belichick and his guys are like X's and O's to the extreme. But I think that's going to be important here. I think they're going to scheme around some of the strengths of that defense, and one of the things you keep hearing about is what's going to go on. How are they going to cover Gronk, and what's going on with Ramsey? Is Ramsey going to be on Gronk? Ramsey is certainly fast enough and athletic enough and physical enough, even though he's a lot smaller, to be able to be on Gronk, but at the same time, he is a lot smaller. So if they do throw the right kind of passes, Gronk can still catch them, and they can also just scheme him out of the game altogether by putting Gronk on him to block him on running plays. Ramsey's not going to be too happy, I don't think, if he just keeps getting pounded and pounded and pounded, run blocked by a 275-pound Gronkowski on a regular basis if they're able to establish the run, maybe get up a touchdown early and just pound and pound and pound. So I do think the Patriots are the best team, but that's probably only slightly the case over the Vikings. But I think that the Vikings have a slightly harder road than the Patriots do, having to go on the road to an Eagles team that I think is better than the Jaguars, where the Patriots host a not quite as good Jaguars team at home. So, we'll see. Just 2 more weeks of football, championship week this week, and then 2 more weeks until the Super Bowl, and then these rankings will be completely meaningless because we'll know who the actual best teams are. All right, so thanks for watching, and please like, comment, and share the videos, and subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on other social media. Facebook and Twitter are both @MA Sports Central. Thanks, and we will see you soon.